Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here are the answers to part four's questions. That's not really numbered 1 through 8, but it's A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B. But hopefully that'll help you just take a look at your work from yesterday and make sure that you feel confident with it. We'll go over these answers on Monday in more detail. So here's the goal for today, Chapter 9-2. We're going to graph quadratic equations by hand to find solutions. So basically, over the past 2 days, you have realized that you can solve a quadratic equation, something that looks like x squared plus 6x plus 8 equals 0 by either graphing the equation x squared plus 6x plus 8 equals y and looking at the y-intercepts, so you can do it by graphing, or you could do it by factoring, by finding the factors of 8 that add up to 6. Okay, so it's nice that we have more than one option. So today we're going to focus on solving by graphing. So let's do an example. Now if you recall, to solve by graphing, that means we need to graph it. And I'd like you to graph these by hand because those steps, finding the axis of symmetry, finding the vertex, finding additional points and the y-intercept, those are important skills that you need to learn. Feel free to use your graphing calculator at any time to check your work, but you must show that you can find the axis of symmetry, the vertex, the y-intercept, etc. So feel free to use your graphing calculators, but you're showing your work. All right, so we got x squared plus 3x minus 10. Remember, step 1 is to find the axis of symmetry. X equals negative b divided by 2a is our formula. So that means I'm solving negative 3 divided by 2. What's my a? Well, I've got an invisible 1 right there in front. So I'm multiplying by 1. So my axis of symmetry is negative 3 halves. What does that equal to? Well, it's negative 1.5. So on my graph, my dotted line is going right in between negative 1 and negative 2. This is going to make things a little bit more complicated than we're used to. Okay, step 2. Take the x value that we found and plug it in as x in the original equation and solve to find y. All right, and that gave me an answer of negative 3.25. So my vertex is at negative 1.5 comma negative 3.25. That's pretty ugly, huh? But we can do it. All right, so I'm going to put my vertex at negative 1.5, negative 3.25. I'm just guessing here. That's about where I'm at. Now remember, I'm solving by graphic. What am I trying to find on my graph? Well, I'm trying to find the x-intercepts. So being that that's a decimal isn't really hurting me just yet. Okay, so let's do our next step, which is to find the y-intercept, and our y-intercept is going to be 0, comma, negative 10. Uh-oh, that's way off my graph. That's way down here. 0, negative 10. Okay. Okay, so that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. That would mean that I have a frowning parabola, but this is a positive x squared. So that doesn't make a lot of sense. So I think I've made a mistake. So I need to go back and check my work. So as I'm looking, my axis of symmetry looks good. Oh dear, I forgot a negative. Do you guys see? Where is there a negative missing? Right there. I forgot a negative. Okay, so let's recalculate. Let's go back. All right, so fixing that, typing in my calculator, let's erase that, erase that. My new official answer is negative 12.25. So what that means for me is I think I need to change my axis of symmetry a little, not my axis of symmetry, my x and y coordinates a little bit. So I'm going to stick with the x just as it is. I think that works really well for me. But we're going to change the y-axis. And on the y-axis, we're going to go by 2's now. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Okay, so that means that my vertex is at negative 1.5, comma, negative 12.25. Okay, so that's going to be right about here. Oh, a little bit higher. Big fingers. There we go. All right, and then we've got that y-intercept, which makes way more sense now at 0, negative 10. So we're going to put a dot right here at 0, negative 10. And that gets reflected to the other side, so that goes 1 space and a half to the intercept, to the axis, and so half a space and 1. So the other point goes right there. All right, so far we're getting a parabola that kind of looks like this. Now let's go back to our goal. Our goal is to find the x-intercepts. So I need another point. So I could plug in 1 and see what happens. So that could be my one more point, and I'm going to hope that that will cross. So let's plug in 1. So that means I'm doing 1 squared plus 3 times 1 minus 10. And that gives me 1 plus 3 is 4, minus 10 is negative 6. So that gives me the point 1, negative 6. That didn't work, but I can still reflect it to the other side. That's 2 spaces and a half. All right, so we keep going. Let's try 2 squared plus 3 times 2 minus 10. That's 4 plus 6 minus 10. That's 0. So I have found my x-intercept. It's at 2, 0. And I can reflect that to the other side. There's 1, 2, 3 and a half spaces. So half, 1, 2, 3 spaces. So I am finished now. Ooh, that's an ugly curve. I am finished now with my parabola because I can see what my solutions are. X could equal 2 or x could equal negative 5. Now I know you're seeing this as a little bit of a slower option right now, but trust me, we need to give this a try and see how it works here, because there are some cases where it will be faster. Okay, so your homework tonight, you only have 4 problems. Please don't push pause yet. I want to explain some things to you and give you some hints. Number 1, we just did, so I hope you took notes. Number 2, you notice that it says a squared minus b, but where is your c? Well, since there's nothing there, c equals 0. Pay attention to that. Number 3, notice that it does not equal 0. In order to solve, it needs to equal 0. So you're going to rewrite that as x squared plus 4x plus 4 equals 0. And now you can solve it by graphing. And number 10. So really, you should only have 3 problems to do right now, unless you didn't take notes like you're supposed to when you watch a video. You'll have to go back and take notes on number 1. All right, good luck, guys.